For those that don't want any kids in the future, why? Story 1. I am currently awake at midnight because my 1.5-year-old is crying on and off. Most of my life, I didn't want kids. I didn't have good reasons, and most of the reasons people have them, in my opinion, are selfish. Having kids is the most selfish thing you can do, to bring a human into the world who has no say who their parents are, what country they're born into, what socioeconomic situation, etc. But by the time I'd reached a point where I was in a stable, loving relationship, had financial stability, emotional stability, and knew that I wanted to try and make the world a little better by believing I could add a kind, compassionate, hardworking human to the world, I hoped, while also getting a fuller human experience by being a parent, I did it. And for me, it was the right choice, despite the fact of the anxiety that I have over them. 2 kids. Or I occasionally wonder what life I would have had without them. Still would never change that decision. They already make the world better. For everyone here, though, that doesn't want to have kids, thank you for not having them. There are too many kids nowadays who have parents who didn't think enough about having them before they did, and the repercussions are not good usually to those kids or to society. Story 2. I don't want to worry about a kid for the rest of my life. I could never truly relax again. I just don't feel like being a parent and watching over a child. Story 3. Personally not interested in the stress, responsibility, and dedication it takes to look after babies, toddlers, and kids. If I ever do have kids, I'll look after them. But right now, and probably for a long time, I don't see myself wanting to be around kids when coming home after a long day, then deal with a screaming baby, oft not all the time, which needs attention the entire time I'm home. Story 4. 1. I spent pretty much my entire childhood helping to raise my 7 younger siblings. I'm, frankly, all mothered out. 2. I don't think I'd be a good mother. And in order to find out if I am wrong, I have to open Pandora's box. If I open the box and am wrong, a child suffers for my choice. 3. I really, really, really don't want to have children. Nor do I feel that the current world I live in and the future one is one I want to bring children into. Story 5. Why have kids when you cannot have kids? Story 6. Just not something I have ever wanted. Believe it or not, there are just some people out there who don't have a parental instinct. Friends, before we continue our video, I want to remind you of the importance of subscribing to our channel. We are also waiting for your comments and likes. Thank you. Let's move on to the video. Story 7. Because I like peace, quiet, cleanliness, free time, and last but not least, money. Story 8. I don't want to pass on my terrible genetics and generational trauma to anyone else. Story 9. It's as simple as I've always known. I've never wanted them. I'm 32F. And one of the biggest turning points of my life was about 4 years ago when I realized I'd been anxious my entire 20s about the pending inevitability of parenthood. It felt like a black cloud handing over the rest of my life from the age of 30 onwards that I was hurtling towards. Then I realized I had a choice, and not having kids was an option. I think it took so long to get to that place because, as a female, you are relentlessly bombarded with motherhood your entire life. Since my decision, I feel like I'm only starting to feel alive. I love my life so much and am excited for all that's to come. For people who heart and soul want children, amazing. I hope you have a wonderful journey. I'm just so glad I was born in a time when finally, not having kids is a viable option too. Very aware this depends on where you live, however, so recognize my privilege in having this choice. I'm also anticipating many years ahead of people asking me about my choice, etc., given my age. Story 10. I have no maternal instinct toward kids. Nothing makes me want to hold a baby or play with a toddler. I don't find a child laughing or a baby cooing adorable. I also have anger issues, and I refuse to put a kid through what my dad put me through. Gotta break the cycle somewhere. Story 11. Kids are annoying. I don't have the patience. I also have lots of issues. I would probably snap and be abusive in some way, unfortunately. I'm better off without kids. Story 12. I'm too selfish. I want to be able to do what I want when I want, and I don't want to worry about how that's going to affect a kid. If I want to spend all day with my chick getting high and laying on the beach, we can do that. Story 13. I struggle with anxiety, especially in the setting of higher stress environments and lack of sleep. I struggled a ton with adjusting when I got my puppy, and that was only for 2 to 3 months. I can't imagine how I'd be a good parent to someone who is dependent on me for a few years. Story 14. I have one child, strongly considered abortion, but the option was more or less taken from me before I could get my bearings. Anyway, I had her, and I don't regret her. I would die for her. She's well taken care of. With all that being said, motherhood is not for me. I never wanted children, and I've found that aside from watching her grow and learn, motherhood is mostly miserable. The pregnancy was miserable, the birthing process was miserable, the lack of sleep, the amount of money you have to spend, not being able to do what you want, losing your sense of identity and self, and becoming this person that lives to raise your child are all miserable to me. For that reason, I never want any more. Story 15. First off, the world is an absolute f***ing mess. Not the natural world. There's still plenty of beauty and things to appreciate. I mean this human world we have created. It's monotonous, overcomplicated, stressful, depressing, and our only purpose is to produce wealth and consume. Secondly, I have lots of mental health issues, and some physical, in my family background. I also have a lot of these same issues that can be traced back multiple generations. Because of that, I intend to break the cycle by not dooming a life to suffer the same health issues I deal with. Story 16. Because I don't believe I'd be a good parent. Don't get me wrong, I'd love the hell out of my kid, but I have OCD, and are there worse germ machines than a baby? Diapers, throw up, snotty noses. I'd probably break down. And I don't want to give this to a potential child. I don't want a potential child to live a life of discomfort and anxiety because their mom has OCD. I feel like people think that not being a good parent, not being a good person. The way I see it, it's like a job. I'd be a terrible mechanic, and I wouldn't be a good parent. This is a good note to end on. Please write your stories in the comments. I'll be happy to add them to future videos. Also, you can rate our other videos. We would be very grateful. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.